think this might be.
This meeting is being recorded.
Got it.
Christ. So, yeah, what I've been doing as of lately, I've just been adding like a tomato basil sort of sauce into it. And it's like an extra 15 carb. It's just making it go down a little bit easier. So,
yeah, I saw that on YouTube.
Yeah, it's just making things a little bit easier for me right now because I can eat the food, but it's just a bit like, really. But it is what it is. We move on. AJ, we haven't spoke since before you went away to New York. Updates on that. How was that?
Well, the food was better than tomato and basil sauce with bolognese. So yeah, no, it was really good, mate. Really, really good. Definitely switched off a lot on the food front, and even just day-to-day routine. Completely out of the norm. You know, no check-ins over that period. Actually took like the first stint of time off work that I'd realistically, if you work it out, probably in I don't know, maybe like 2 years or so, maybe 3, that I haven't actually done any work in a day and consecutive days as well. So it felt very odd, but it was really nice. Like once I got like to day 2, and I was like, actually, this is quite needed, you know, just to come away from the non-stop coaching and non-stop sort of talking about bodybuilding for a bit. It was really, really nice. But by like day 4, day 5, both me and Loz are like, okay, let's get back to doing what we love on a daily basis. And also we did like 40k steps a day, so our feet were completely written off. But,
I mean, I've been to New York. I went for my 21st birthday, and like regardless what you do, you're going to rack up at least 30,000 steps.
Oh, easy.
Regardless, it takes it like, it's just, there's so much to absorb. Obviously, I think it's your second time, isn't it? So you kind of know what to expect. But when you first go there, like it just blew my mind. And I was so tired in there. I had some of the best night sleeps ever when I was out there. I don't know if it was the food or just me doing crazy amounts of steps, but yeah. What
was the best food that you remember having?
I think I think it was a bagel I had. Actually, you know what? I had a Wendy's once.
Did you?
I've
never been to Wendy's. I've never been.
Opened the box up. I had a burger. I can't remember what some sort. And I looked at it and I think, that looks awful. Like, what have I just got? It was like a shitty McDonald's almost. But I took a bite into it and I was like, that's probably the best takeout burger other than Five Guys. You know, for the price it was. I was like, okay, cool. But I think it was, I went to, is it Bagel and Coffee? Is it called Bagel and Coffee?
Yeah, there's so many good bagel spots. Like they do the best bagels ever out there.
Yeah, 100%. Even in Whole Foods, went there, brought like, because you can do like, it's like a canteen almost. You can put whatever you want in it. I thought, right, that seems enough. Went to the till, it was like $40. And I was like, what the fuck have I just bought? I mean, it was nice, but it weren't $40 worth. I was like, no way am I doing that again. Khifie, how's your moving? You moved?
Yeah, we got here. We literally just fucked everything in the back of a van and just left and came here, and then got everything kind of unpacked. There's quite a lot of stuff still pretty much sitting about, but we're here eventually. And like literally, I've had probably 3 of my best training sessions in the whole entire past maybe year or something like that in the past 3 days. So I mean, things are looking up, which has obviously kept my head on more than anything else. So it's just literally like 5 minutes from the gym as well, so it makes things even better. Like there's no thinking about anything. I just feel as if there's been like a massive weight lifted off my shoulder, and I'm looking forward to just kind of being able to just train now, kind of thing. So it was successful. We got everything moved in like one run, so it was easy as that. And I was like pretty much feeling as if I was like a removal man for a day, because I was like just in charge of fucking everything. So it was yeah, there was lots of stuff could have went wrong, but it actually was like, it wasn't the worst. It was easy. So
I've seen you be good.
We're here now. That's the main thing.
I've seen you be a bit of a madman in the gym as well with first session was what, squats, was it? Let me get this up quickly. I'll have a little go.
Oh, fuck me. This was a bit stupid.
Let's do this.
I don't think there's anything that Keith does at the moment that isn't stupid.
Was this like
that? True.
This is just fucking crazy, mate. Like you had that guy.
That was the first night we got there. So we had we'd like
They've been
obviously-
moving shit all day.
Yeah, pretty much.
Brilliant.
That was like
Brilliant.
got everything in, and then it was like, right, got to train, and it was either going to be training. I was either going to train back or I was going to train legs, and I knew if I was going to do them obviously the day after each other, but if I trained back, I would have had the fear of being even more fucked for legs. Now, don't get me wrong, like I fatigued more in this set just from like lower back pain, just from kind of moving shit, but at the same time, I really wanted to train legs. Like I had left legs to train an ultraflex, and I didn't want to leave it another day. So we had, I think it was like, had about an hour and 20 minutes, and just went in and just like straight. It was obviously it was a very intense session, and I didn't get to lift really heavy on everything. But
You
we
look
still
like a
got like
forklift when you're doing that, Keith. You literally look like a forklift.
I don't know if I'll do like 4 plates AMRAP again. I might go back to looking for 220 for 20 again. I think on a good day of the now 220 I'll fall at like 15 or 16 reps. And then as like with deadlifts as well, deadlifts it was just a case of just getting used to 20 kilo plates again, new plates, bar and that. It's just
So this
I don't
is
know about
this
you.
is the
I
day
don't know about you.
after.
You what?
nah,
sorry?
this was like a couple of days after.
Right.
No, I was just,
just
gonna
the
say,
one
I don't
rest
know
day
about
in
you,
between.
but
Wasn't
the
a
plate,
rest
the
day, was
plates
it?
and stuff at Durham, I find them heavier than elsewhere.
I mean,
Everything surprising, I don't know what it was, but it's like surprisingly I actually got on so well with deadlifts. Like it's the first session that I've done with deadlifts in so long, and I've actually felt as if I was getting leg drive more than anything. And that's something that I know that I've always struggled with leg drive, but whenever I was warming up, and obviously I was warming up in 20 kilo plates, again I was just going through the motion. I just felt as if I was leg pressing the floor, and I was getting so much more drive. So it was actually really good. I'm sure this was the day in between legs and deadlifts.
crazy. Is that Cybex?
It's very
Yeah.
strong on that, Smith,
Yeah.
Keith.
That is pretty impressive, mate. Really, really impressive. And I'm sure you're going to go up very quickly from even just being in a different environment. Just get that consistency. So this is going to be easy next week.
That was like one thing I wasn't sure as well. With the benches and that, like that's on one above the shallow incline. So I'll probably just keep it on that now until like
nuts.
until I kind of take that as far as possible. But
Nuts.
it's good. Like I've not used the Atlantis Smith machine. I'm sure actually, AJ, I'm sure we used that Atlantis Smith machine when we done. Remember when I arrived and we trained arms? I think
Yeah.
I'm sure that was the Atlantis Smith, but if not used it, I would like to run the Cybex more than anything. So
Yeah, I'd stick with the Cybex. The Atlantis seems to, at some point, it always like breaks or the resistance kind of changes a little bit. So Cybex, you're in a safer place.
I feel like the Atlantis a little bit bouncy. Can I call it that? Like literally just throw up in the air, and it kind of just does like this sort of bounce. And I think eventually when you start pounding, because you can load it quite well on there. I think it takes a bit of a battering sometimes, that sort of Smith machine.
The bar has some like travel in it as well. That's what you mean about the bounce. Like when you unrack it, the bar actually travels.
A bit forward and back.
Really
It's not straight up and down.
I think it's the bearings that they're like slightly looser than the Cybex, which is so smooth. You unrack it and you feel like you've got like a barbell in your hand. It's just locked.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Me and Jack have got some exciting news. Obviously, we finally. I don't know how it actually happened, really, mate.
I know how it happened.
But yeah,
because I made the effort to go up and you didn't. That's how it happened.
Hey, listen.
That's right. Like, you were having a fresh fade. It's okay. It's all right.
That was last time, actually, mate. Jack decides to get a viewing, and it's like a day before. 12.
No, I didn't choose it though. I didn't choose it.
Yeah, I get that. But unfortunately for me, like it's just like I can't drop like my day, like especially traveling. I know obviously you travel a lot further, but I've taken on a lot more sort of responsibilities with business lately, which is not a bad thing. And I can't just all of a sudden, I've got such a routine of what I do that takes a massive chunk out of my day. And I'd love to voice note all my clients back, but it's just not what I do. And I don't want to get into a habit of doing that. And I always like to keep standards high. So sometimes, but I'll do the exact same for you. You know that if we had to view a house.
I'm only teasing. I understand that. Luckily, I didn't have, what was it? It was on a Tuesday, wasn't it? Luckily, I didn't have anything on really. So I could just drop everything really and go up. So yeah, we viewed a house on the Tuesday, and by that evening, essentially, George, we got the house, didn't we?
Yeah.
Which is,
Have you seen this place in person in Georgia? Have you not?
well,
Jack FaceTimed me when I was there, but with some photos. You
So
get
not
like
in person, but in
you get like a
FaceTime.
virtual view.
Yeah.
Gathered that most places look the exact same. You know, we went and visited that house before; it looked the exact same. So I kind of know what the layout is already, in that sense. But I think we just got to a point now where we're just eager to get up. You know, want to do that before we prep. Even you was telling me that, AJ, like you need to be up here before you prep because you don't want the hassle of, you know, moving and relocating. And I know just even thinking about it now, like I'm gonna have to get a van, you know, getting my bed, my mattress up there, all that sort of stuff is gonna, you know, it's gonna take a couple of days to just get that in place. But you know, we wanted to get up there before we started prep, just get a bit of a routine. You know, we're a sucker for routine. Spend some time getting used to just being in a different environment, different bedroom, getting used to living with Jack and Diesel at the same time, you know, that sort of stuff.
You're sharing a bedroom.
We can talk it down. We can talk it down. Yeah, even I was just writing down a list of what we need, like curtains, you know, little things like cleaning stuff. You know, it's just all these things you take advantage of living at home. So just time to just level up everything. You know, level up us, and you know, we're really serious about our goals as well. And you know, we've somehow found a way. So we're really buzzing about that. Jack, I like the top that you're wearing, by the way. I noticed that when you first came on.
I heard you've been sent one as well. Is that true?
Yes.
So I'll give a quick shout out. This brand called Cornerstone. I'll give you a little twirl as well.
Oh,
Very nice that.
So basically they've had the influence of a couple of other bodybuilders within their sort of product design and stuff. And it is actually, and this isn't paid, you know, whatever. They've just sent me it. And in terms of like fit, it's like a bit of a higher up. It's not meant to be worn in the gym. It's more for like a bit of a casual one, but I'd probably wear it in the gym. It's one of those where the sleeves are like almost to the elbow. So it covers all the bicep, and like they've grown on me a lot at the moment. I'm quite liking that sort of fit. But just as a tee in general, I really like them. And they sent me the white one. I'd probably be inclined to buy a few more in like the different colors and stuff. So yeah, it's a brand called Cornerstone. Have you got one, George?
Yeah, I do. I was actually really, really pleased with the quality, actually, saying that. Because normally when I've had a few people, just like people in the past send me out stuff and it's like Fruit the Loop kind of quality, which is
Fruit the Loop. It's Fruit the Loop.
Fruit the Loop.
Was it
Fucking hell, Fruit the Loop. Did you
What's
just
it
say
called?
that? Fruit the Loop. Jesus Christ.
I don't know what it's called. Fruit something.
Fruit of the Loom.
Fruit of the Loom.
Fruit the Loop.
Fruit the
Fruit the
fucking
Loop.
Loop.
Wow. See you
Whatever.
later.
If you don't title this video Fruit the Loop.
All right. I thought that's what it's called. I don't know. I just saw fruit, and then I saw, I don't know, grapes. Or Loop. But honestly, the quality is really good, and I'm not really a big fan of oversized stuff just because I'm really short and it just makes me look shorter. But it's something that I'll definitely wear 100%. It's quite a nice fit as well. I like that it's quite tailored on the shoulders and stuff like that. Anyway, enough about t-shirts. Kaylin, how are you? How's things?
I'm fantastic. I don't think my answer ever really changes, does it? But you know, I'm doing really well. Training's going well. Everything's going to plan. Not much to report really. I'm literally just doing the same thing every single day, every single week. Only highlight, well, a few training highlights, but life updates, not much really. It's crazy to think that all of you have sort of travelled from elsewhere to sort of come and live your life up here. But luckily, I was up here already. But yeah, not much to report.
I think that's the problem when you're in a good spot in your off season. You haven't got an awful lot to report.
No,
it's literally just the same thing over and over.
It's the same shit over and over.
The most productive phase is potentially, well, for most, is almost looked on as the least exciting. But for you, if you love the monotony of it, which I know you do, that's where the progress is made, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. Like with check-ins with Tom and stuff recently, there's literally been like no changes really. It's just a case of weight's gone up, cool, let's keep going. Training's been going like really good. It's the same with AJ. Like when I'll check in, it's literally just a case of we need to keep building this momentum because now we're at a point where, like, and to be fair, you as well, like doing stuff that you've not done before really, or you're at least like creeping in on it. So it's like that point now. I'm getting like so scared. Before sessions, I was like sat in Ultraflex yesterday just staring at the wall, and Meg came over and was like, "You all right? Like everything all right up there?" But yeah, now I'm feeling good.
Good. AJ, I wanted to ask you, we spoke about last week about the Cybex hack and like your heels coming off the platform and struggling with mobility. And then let me just share the screen here. Then I see you yesterday being an absolute madman on the Cybex. And I just wanted to basically just get your opinion on it. Like, how do you, because you know, because obviously you can see here, heels are coming off. Do you see that as a problem, or do you get people commenting saying like, why are you doing that? Or is that a problem?
Yeah, I definitely get the odd comment, because like when you look at it from this angle, you look at this from this video, it looks like so unnatural. But I think Keith said the exact same thing. Like when I'm in the set, I don't even realize that that's happening. Like it just feels like that's the way I'm meant to be doing this. And if I was to try and keep my heels planted, all that would result is my feet being higher up on the platform and less range. Because like even from this angle again, like, you know, I said to Caitlin afterwards, I was like, what, like when you were spotting me when you were there, were they as deep as they needed to be? Most of them, she was like, yeah, they were, you know, pretty close to hitting the pins. So if I pop my feet up higher, I'm not even gonna get my knee below my hip crease, you know. So it's just gonna be a pretty like pointless endeavor. So yeah, I mean, also if you look at like James Hollingshead's recent hacks, if you look at Dorian's hacks, if you look at Keith's hacks, they're pretty much all experiencing some degree of heel lift. So yeah, bottom line is I don't think it's a huge problem. If you're obviously getting like pain or discomfort from it, like consistently in your ankle, your calf, or, you know, even further up in the hip, then obviously you got to change it. But yeah, just if you find a good groove with it, then just I don't see there's a huge issue.
Do you get any lower back issues at all from doing that?
No, mate. My lower back is also just, I think my lower back is probably the least likely thing to ever get injured. I can tell you on one hand the amount of times that my lower back's hurt from training. So again, I think this is very individual dependent. Like there'll be people that, you know, have to pull with a belt, you know, they always have to wear a belt as protection, or they're risking their lower back without a belt. They need to brace against a belt. And I've always pulled without one. It actually feels very uncomfortable to pull with a belt. But yeah, I think again, it's something that comes down to a little bit of personal preference. And also with that hack as well, I've seen all of the best Cybex hack spotters have a low and narrow stance, and most of them do have a little bit of heel lift. And they're almost, when I ask them about how they use it and what they feel during the set, they've always told me, I feel like I'm pressing a little bit more through my midfoot than my heel. The first person to ever tell me that was actually Cy Fan, who runs Ultimate Fitness in Birmingham. He used to Cybex, well, he probably still does, to be honest, knowing how crazy he is, but he put pin extenders on the Cybex hack spot to take it to, he did 8 plates aside for 7, like a good set. It was crazy on that. And he did that last in some leg sessions as well after everything else. And he used to just have his feet like almost off the platform, and he would visibly roll up almost like more plat style than mine and Keith's. And he would be pressing probably off like the end of his foot rather than even his midfoot. So again, I think it's just something you've got to play about with, but I'm backing the fact that I don't think it's dangerous.
Yeah. I mean, I've obviously had previous and still have a little bit of lower back issues. Like I did stiff legs 2 days before, and then I did the Cybex. I did the Cybex hack, and I noticed carrying a little bit of fatigue in my lower back. I was finishing that hack, and I was like, right, okay. And when I noticed my heels were coming off, that's when my lower back started to tighten up a little bit. So, yeah, I think like you said, it's very individual. You don't seem to have any issues at all, whereas me, I need to try and think about actually driving through my heels, because if I don't, then I'm going to get a lower back pump at the end of it, which I'm not sure why. It could be just down to, even sometimes I notice when I go down the Cybex hack, like I have a tendency to want my hips to roll forward at the bottom, which
Sure.
puts me in a weaker position. I don't know if it's just because the back padding isn't long enough or whatnot, but yeah, it's something that I need to address right now because it's taken away from the actual set itself when I'm just sitting there and I've got a lower back pump and I can't really feel anything in my quads. So yeah, something that I'm just have to analyze next time I want to do it.
Have you, not to ramble on about this for too long, but have you tried different stance widths? So have you gone out wider? Because I noticed with Lewis, when I hack squat with him, he's one of the only people that I've ever seen. His feet were literally almost at the edge of the platform. They were that wide. He squats very, very wide on the Cybex hack. And he's also one of the only individuals that I've seen be able to really get into that bottom position and control that change of direction. So it might be something worth trying, just like trying to play about with the width of your stance a bit more.
Yeah, I agree. I haven't gone that wide because I don't feel strong in that position.
No, neither do I.
So I don't like to. I've seen JP do it. He's very wide.
He's also huge. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I couldn't do that. I feel very weak in that position. So it might be worth giving it a go. But yeah, I'm just thinking about it now. It's not the first thing I'd definitely do.
Can I ask Keith a question about some kit? Keith, I've seen you use a lot of the prime pieces recently. I know you've had a few runs on them before, but do you find they're a little bit wide in the starting position? Like some of them that you almost feel like you're quite compromised in the stretch, like on the incline press.
Yeah, especially I probably would say the incline more than anything else.
Yeah.
I've only used it, like I've only managed to use it once. And that was like, I don't know what it was. I only done one working set because of that, pretty much. And literally just moved because I was able to take a good enough set, but I don't know, it was just getting it out with the hole at the bottom. I noticed a lot of things as well, like a lot of machines do have like pads that you can put in to obviously get you off the first rep straight away. But at the same time, it was like, I don't know. I get it's very new to me, so it's really hard to comment on. But at the same time, that was one thing I noticed. Another thing with the shoulder press, I like the shoulder press from the very start of the move. The only thing I don't like about the shoulder press is the fact that it goes so you end up like I even like go the most narrowest grip you can go, and I somehow still end up very much out like
feels dangerous. It feels so dangerous.
It just feels I don't know what it is, but I don't mind the shoulder press, but that part of taking my hand all the way out does put me off a little bit. But it's just, I don't know, the chest press as well. I was pretty weak on the chest press, so that's probably what put me off as well.
It's a heavy machine. It's heavy.
Yeah, it fucking is heavy.
George, bring up that Bradley Dennis kid because he's doing like 6 plates on that, which is that's unbelievable. I commented, I was like, that's absurd because that's so.
What is he? 23.
So heavy.
Let me just share this.
I don't think I know this guy.
No.
Oh,
unbelievable.
I've seen Cal shares him a few times.
Is he competing this year?
I don't know,
but when he does, it's going to be just absolutely insane. I mean, so this is the thing. I think when you're 300 pounds, it's not probably that wide anymore because your circumference of your body is so massive. I mean, you're 240, Keith. You're still huge. Don't get me wrong, but I think when you're like ridiculously massive, these pieces probably fits him because it doesn't look like wide for him, does it?
No. I notice when I do the incline press, I'm holding it like this, and then it puts pressure on my wrist, and it's just a very awkward way of pressing. The second thing I notice is, for me anyway, the handles are way too thick. Like I just don't feel comfortable holding I don't know why. It just doesn't feel comfortable for me. So I don't.
You just need bigger hands, mate.
I know, I've got little girl hands.
Get on the growth.
Growth hormone, mate.
Yeah.
Yeah, AJ, that's a nice touch that Cuba's added to the gym. He's taken away the grips on the flat press.
Yeah.
Because that was another knock
the gym
on
shot
that.
flat.
The gym shot flat. The handles are huge. Now the one in Ultraflex has been modified, isn't it? So it's a lot better with that, I think.
He's taken them off the pull down, I believe, as well, or at least he was going to. But yeah, like some of these handles are just made for people with absolute man hands.
Gorilla hands.
So
AJ, on that note, I wanted to if you want to speak about it, like I saw and we spoke about you having a little unit or a little gym to yourself, you know. Do you want to talk about that a little bit?
Sure, yeah, 100%. So, I mean, it's something that's been very much wearing away at the back of my mind for a long time. And I find that when I come off competition preps, I get this urge to just do stuff and do more and try and chase down some different goals, especially with an off season ahead of me. I'm like, okay, what can I do that's going to demand my time, my attention, and give me some element of like a chase, you know? Yeah, just, I mean, this is one of many things that is definitely there and I want to progress with. And getting that Smith, and you're putting in a House of Gains, when I saw it there, and I was like, this is going to get really addictive. So like right then I was like, okay, this is set in stone. I'm going to do something with this. So, I mean, equally for me, I think it's just it's a case of I want to invest my money somewhere. I want to do it ultimately in things that are going to grow long term and be able to bring me income when I eventually maybe stop coaching. Maybe when I'm like 60, 70 years old or something, I don't want to do anymore. But equally, I want to invest in things whilst I've got the ability to, in things that are really just big goals and passions of mine. I'd love to have like a little dungeon. It's just something about it that's like drawing me towards it. And then having the opportunity to obviously have, you know, people like yourselves, my friends, athletes come down, the ability to film content in this little unit or dungeon or whatever it is would just be like kind of like a little bit of a dream come true. And that's not to say that I wouldn't train in other gyms, in Ultraflex, in House of Gains, in all of these different places. Because I still do that on a very frequent basis because I love training in a gym. But equally, I'd love to have my own space, especially with the way that the world's gone over like the last couple of years. It's inevitable, something in hopefully the very distant future, but at some point probably something else is going to happen where we're told to stay at home and not leave and all that jazz. And I want to have somewhere where, you know, at least I can get a good amount of people in and get the training continue to be going and things like that. So yeah, I don't know how long it's going to take, but I'm definitely going to chase down that goal for sure, mate.
What's your five? So you've got 5 pieces of kit.
Okay, God.
Obviously you got 1, but what's the ultimate? What's the ultimate 5 that you're going to have in that gym?
Okay, so are we counting the Smith as one?
I mean, if that's your, I'd say, is that your top 5?
That in there. I definitely put that in there because it's so functional.
Yeah.
Then a Mark 1 hack, Cybex, definitely. There's just so many pieces. I mean, unfortunately, it's probably going to all look like a lot of leg kit. I think from a leg press perspective, the best one I've ever been on has been an Arsenal leg press. I love that leg press so much. I'd prefer to find somewhere in America an old school Nebula leg press, which is the exact one like Ronnie had. And it's also basically the one that Arsenal kind of copied. It's basically the same leg press. I'd love something like that. That would be amazing. Basically what I want to fill this gym with is like very intricate pieces that you can't really find, that aren't too common. So like I found the other day, like a Cybex seated leg curl called a Galileo seated leg curl, which has got the heaviest seated hamstring curl stack in the world. It's 200 kilo stack. And it just looks like absolute monster. You couldn't possibly break, that no one could stack, that you don't put a gym pin in. It's like, I want to find stuff like that and put it in there. That's the kind of stuff that I would like. But yeah, definitely sort of a lot of the Cybex trains for leg presses, the Cybex squat press, the pivot leg press. And then, I mean, the other sort of more intricate things is like a full range of Ivanko dumbbells. I love those dumbbells. I think they're the nicest looking dumbbells. I'd either want Ivanko plates or just the black body power plates that you have in Ultraflex. And then a full range of like bars, deadlift bars, proper speciality bars that you can only find in the top tier gyms. And then that would pretty much be like what my kit would look like. There's not really a set sort of perfect piece. It's like finding little things that other gyms have not got that would interest me the most, mate, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, that sounds honestly amazing. As long as I've got an invite, that sounds
Oh,
amazing.
you all have, mate.
That should be really, really good. Yeah, exciting times. It's something that even, I thought about in the future, because even like you said, with the uncertainty of some lockdowns and stuff like that, I can't be dealing with that sort of stuff. It's just having to sneak into other gyms or having to train. I'm not training at home again. There's no way in hell I'd ever do that. Like, that was bad enough. And I think it's important for something to highlight upon there, what you said at the beginning. I think it's quite important to, when you are in your off seasons, try and actually do something or work towards something like you said, because that's probably where I went wrong with my off season. I mean, a lot of it we have spent in lockdown. Like when we came into 2020, it was in lockdown, so I couldn't do much. But I did have that sense of, especially after the first year, just feeling a little bit lost, not really having anything to work towards. And then that made me a bit lazy with my nutrition. Maybe a little, not, I've never been lazy with the training, but I definitely feel like I should have had an ultimate goal or something to work towards. So I think that's important that you mentioned that as well, because I did get a little bit lost, and I wasn't sure if that was the lockdowns or not, but certainly having something to work towards for sure is definitely going to keep my mind occupied and give me more motivation to keep doing what you are doing essentially. So yeah, I agree. I really like that. Should we do some questions? I've got quite a few questions. I don't know why this week. I've got quite a few questions.
Yeah, go on then.
Which are quite good. Kenny, how's the timestamps going? Have you kept up?
Is Caitlin on the timestamps?
Just
Is
forgot.
that what's
she's forgotten
happening?
already.
Fucking hell.
I'm on
I
there.
hope you're getting paid for that, Caitlin. How much are you charging for the hour and
Listen.
a half that we're on here for?
I know, Jesus Christ.
Listen,
Fruit of the loop, eh? Fruit of the loop.
I bet that's all he'll give you is some fruit of the loop teas or
Fruit of
something
the
in
loop,
return.
mate.
I didn't ask her to do it. I didn't
No,
ask.
I was just, I
Alright,
just got
it was
so
an offer.
annoyed at the fact that everyone in the comments was going, "Where's the timestamps? Where's the timestamps?" I'm like, oh,
You know, last week I did watch it through and I did do the timestamp, so
Yeah,
I would have done
fair
it
play.
anyway. But I appreciate you doing that for me.
all right.
Right, first question: what's the most embarrassing gym moment? What's your most embarrassing gym moment? Sorry, anyone got any embarrassing things they want to mention?
I always see that question pop up, and like I genuinely don't know
No.
what.
Good answer from Keith there to kick things off.
Yeah, like I literally have no fucking clue. Like George comes out with stuff like he shit himself on that. I have never shit myself in the gym.
Yeah.
Every
Sneaky.
Sunday, I do something embarrassing, to be fair.
Yeah, every Sunday.
Every Sunday.
That's why you wear like 3 bottoms.
That's why, if you notice, on my Sunday, I'll do my deadlifts in one pair and then my hacks in another.
I don't think I've ever noticed that.
Yeah, well, now you will.
Now you do.
will.
You won't be able to unsee it now, George.
Our deadlift platform is going to be stained for years, years to come.
I don't know. Obviously, I have obviously sharted on a leg press a few times. That's sort of standard, and you just move on from that really. But nothing really like too embarrassing that people have gone, oh my god, like what has that guy done? I do get a little bit embarrassed. I once actually dropped my intra-workout shake, and it fucking just went everywhere. And I was like, everyone looked at me, and they knew I had to go and clean it up. I was like, fuck's sake. So that was quite embarrassing, but not much embarrassing me really.
That's going to be a poor answer. I haven't really got anything. You could argue crying on the hack squat was slightly embarrassing, but
Maybe people who
Mate, that video got you so many followers though, so
Yeah, the clout. Think of the
it's a
clout.
win-win.
Yeah,
Think of the exposure.
because like in terms of embarrassing things in the gym, it's the usual, isn't it? Shit yourself,
Yep.
piss yourself. Like what other things could it be? Could potentially involve you embarrassing yourself in front of a girl,
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I have. I'm trying to think, but I don't think I have. I used to, in prep in 2019, it's not embarrassing, but I used to feel really small. So I used to wear like 2 or 3 jumpers just to puff me out a little bit, because I was quite, I don't know. And I do feel a little bit, not ashamed, but it's weird because I had 2, you could see I was wearing 2 jumpers. People used to ask me, you wearing jumpers? I'm like, no, but really I was. And just to puff me up a little bit. So when I used to look in the mirror, I used to look a little bit beefier, because when I used to come down, I was like, okay, I look really small in 1 jumper now, So
This year I won't allow that to happen, George. I'll dress you every day now.
Yeah, like you going out in 2 jumpers? Let's get it off. What's your go-to top set song? Anyone?
Feel
Anger
nothing.
Fist.
What's that? Who's that by Plotting You?
Totally depends on mood.
Yeah.
Yeah, it does depend on me, to be fair.
I always
be
listen
such
to
a
Dead
massive
Based
variety.
Dimension on my top 1 deadlifts, but that's really.
Yeah, we know what yours one is, Keith. Can't get out of our head. Banging all the time.
That's like the unfortunate part about my videos now. You only get whatever music's on in the gym.
No, you need to just
Yeah.
play that song over in the background. Just make it as a reel, so you can just play it in the background.
To be fair, I could do that.
Have any of you guys? I know Khifie, sometimes you put like the "yeah, buddy" and all. Sometimes the motivational stuff over it. Has anyone actually ever listened to that whilst training at all? I have. I played it on YouTube.
Absolutely not.
I've played it on YouTube.
I actually,
just had-
yeah, I have.
It's sometimes.
Yeah, I've done a few sessions with that.
Yeah, sometimes it works. Sometimes I'm a bit like,
I watched the same Dorian Machiavelli motivation on the treadmill about, I think, before a lot of sessions in last year's prep. And then I got off the treadmill. I was like, fucking hell, this is really good. So I just kept it in my pocket. And then a few sessions I did just keep it on for like quite a while, to be fair. But you gotta find some things like that give you an extra little bit of a push.
I do like a bit of Celine Dion.
Price.
Just, every now and again.
I remember
Just me.
JP once shared an album he listens to while he's in the gym. So I thought, right, let's have a look at this. I think it was piano, like orchestra sort of music, and I absolutely love it. Like I still listen it to. Obviously, I come across listening to drill in the car on the way to the gym, but sometimes when I'm in that gym, I listen to piano music, and I don't know why, but I just find this other
Piano music. Is that the actual term for it?
No, it's my term. It's just
They're not
piano,
just classical.
It's a bit like that, but
They're
there's
not
no,
just called someone playing the piano.
It's just literally someone playing the piano. That's all it is. I don't know what you call that.
I know what you mean though. Like it's music like that is obviously is like it kind of creates a bit more focus. It's like when you listen to that music when you study, But
Because there's no distraction from the lyrics, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like when I listen to some of there's an art. Well, I don't know if it's called it. It's an artist, but it's a producer called Audio Machine, which they do like loads of movie soundtracks, and some of them are quite soft, and some of them are obviously a little bit like harder and more like bassy kind of movie soundtracks. But the softer ones, you listen to it, and then I don't know. You sometimes get into a set, and you're like, could I have given that more if I was listening to something a bit less ambient? And most of the time, it's a yes, So I think you gotta I don't know, use that with. I mean, that's not me saying that when JP listens to piano music, he's not training hard because he clearly is. But you've got to be a certain individual to try and use that music positively. I think the issue is people try and copy JP and then they end up just training soft because they're listening to piano music.
My favorite at the minute is Losroy. Is that Losroy Davis?
Losroy Davis, yeah, audio.
Yeah. Very good. I think everyone should get on that.
Can hear that through any headphone actually as well. It cancels out whatever jargon you're listening to.
But I think the thing with like JP and his music selection, it sparks emotions off in him. So it's like you're saying, you need to find the music that sets that light off for you. So, like you said, if it doesn't, and you're trying to listen, I think even he said it himself. Don't try and copy his music if it doesn't ignite the same fire in you, because if anything, it'll do the opposite. One thing I really don't get is when people train to podcasts.
Oh no, that's impossible.
How can you do that?
Yeah.
If you're listening to this podcast and you're training, immediately turn it off.
Yeah. Oh, it's that. And
But don't forget to subscribe before you leave.
Yeah, just subscribe before you leave. Yeah?
Subscribe, like, and comment.
Imagine someone doing the top set to this. They're just giggling and shit. Like, I couldn't do it. I just don't know how people do that. And the second thing I don't know how people do is drink like monsters or energy drinks whilst they train. Nutters. What are you doing? Like, how I feel awful when I drink an energy drink. Like, especially when training, I couldn't forget anything worse.
Anything carbonated, it's just like it's gonna bloat you out like during training.
Imagine a hack squat to that shit. I mean, drinking that and then doing a hack squat, I just couldn't. I don't know how people do that. best perform protein powder. Everyone's tried it. What's everyone's favorite?
I've tried most of them. George, have you tried most of them?
What's AJ giggling for?
I don't know, it's just the way you said that. Everyone's tried it. I'm like, what else are you gonna say? Like, yeah, we tried this. Great. Yeah.
Oh,
The chocolate one's all right, yeah. It's all right. Everyone's tried it though.
Okay, what's everyone's favorite then? That's what I should have said.
I'd say the chocolate brownie batter is probably my favorite.
I've only actually tried the is it strawberry and cream or strawberry cream or
Probably the worst one.
Right, I bet that's terrible. What have you
Yeah.
had
Sounds
that
like
with?
shit. Sounds like shit, that.
that was like fucking a
Man.
year and a half ago or something. I'm sure Dan sent it out.
No, it's just jammy biscuit, isn't it?
Yeah, it is.
To be fair, mate, I rate that protein so much.
In a
AGF.
protein sludge. Whoa. What is going on there? It's just mixing very, very well. My favorite is
The AGF makes unbelievable sludge as well. And I'm pretty sure Keith wouldn't have tried that because I think you just have it as a shake, don't you? But it's like any blend is unbelievable when you mix it as sludge because you can just, if it's got a bit of casein in it, you can just keep adding water in it. It makes
I tried it with an isolate and
no.
it just doesn't work. And then you've wasted 30p and you have to throw it in the bin because it looks like shit.
Yeah.
Distraught.
Fuck that.
Next question. Hardest part about being an influencer. Do you feel pressured to post, etc.? Does anyone feel pressured? We're all influencers here. Let's be honest. We all influence someone of some sort. Does anyone get any bit? The only time I had pressure was an AJ. You'll remember this, 2019, and everyone's like first place. You come first place. And when I posted quite a lot in 2019, and I've got nothing wrong with that, but I just felt like when I didn't place where I wanted to, it was like I felt a little bit. I've let people down. The pressure. So that's the only time I've ever felt pressure. But yeah, I mean, that's it really.
I think that's probably one of the worst things is whenever it comes down to obviously like you go on about you going to compete. Doesn't even need to be bodybuilding, but you always have a lot of people that will obviously support you and not say, right, you're going to get first place regardless. But I think the worst part of it is people being at your back and being like, oh yeah, first place, we're only going for first place, all that kind of stuff. But I do think that's probably worse than you yourself saying you're going for first place because of the extra added pressure that it does put on you. I know that I had a lot of that. Like whenever I used to do PT, like all of my clients would know I was going to be competing very soon in that, and I never let it get in my head. I ended up okay on that side, but you always did kind of have that little bit of time where you did think about it, like what if I don't get first place? Do you know what I mean? You feel as if you're going to let people down in that. I'm a lot over it now, but I must admit that was probably a pretty big thing for me in 2020. Just because I had a lot of people being like, oh yeah, you're only gonna get first place. You're the best and that kind of stuff. Like I hate that. I just hate that. It's just like even as well like with my mum and that kind of stuff. Like way back at the very start, like I had to be like please stop saying this to me because it just is like I don't as much as you want somebody to be honest with you and that, you also don't want somebody just to be like you're going to get first place and that kind of stuff. Do you know what I mean? Because then like I've obviously been there a lot, like lots of times coming like runner up spots and that, and then you're thinking to yourself, fuck, you've just let so many people down because they think you're the fucking best in the world kind of thing. That's probably the hardest thing out of everything, I would say anyway.
And quite a lot of the people that mention, first place aren't anything really to do with bodybuilding because
literally nothing.
If they are, they know that it's literally on the day. Anyone can turn up. There's someone hidden in a city somewhere that you know nothing about, that no one knows anything about, that's been training for years, and they could just rock up and shock you. So, for someone to say first place and to have no clue who's turning up, they clearly have never been to a bodybuilding show before.
I agree on that. On that note, Jack, does anything what's the hardest part for you, sorry, being in
the only time I can really remember feeling a bit of pressure on it, and it wasn't necessarily pressure, it was more the fact that I lost my sort of credibility. And it was during, say, like 2018 into 19, where my training wasn't great. I felt like my physique was somewhat deteriorating. I felt like I almost didn't have any credibility or any clout within the industry, and I almost felt like, why, like, what difference does it make if I post? Like, it doesn't matter. No one cares. Like, I kind of felt like I lost all credibility. So there was a period where I did debate coming off Instagram because I felt like I had nothing like worthwhile to post, and that lasted all of 2 days. And then I came back on. So, and if anything, I was just posting for more like just my own. It was like almost like a personal sort of blog, and it kind of still is really. I just about whatever I'm thinking most of the time. Yeah, that was the only time I really felt pressured. Now it's almost just part of a routine, you know. I post mostly at the same time every day. So I don't really feel pressure. It's kind of just what I do, you know. And especially for all of us now in terms of coaching as well, just part of the job.
Yeah, yeah, 100%. I think back to what Khifie said about even just like your parents. Like my parents are they're always going to say you're the best looking person, you're this, you're that. It's just you have to. For me, even my mum when she was 2019, just you're going to win, you're going to win, you're going to win. It's just, yeah, I kind of ended up blocking that shit out. And I think this year as well, like I see a lot of people already commenting on one of my recent updates saying, oh, first place, you're going to do really well this year. I'm just trying to really just block it off. And I think even I might do what AJ did to an extent. And, you know, AJ, you didn't post much in your, in last year's prep at all. So sometimes that just allows you to just focus on what you need to do, you know what you're capable of, and let when you're on stage do the talking almost. Because something that I was guilty of in 2019 was just posting all physique updates, and it's great for engagement, building business, people like that sort of shit. It's nice to get loads of likes on posts and stuff, but sometimes that takes away from, you know, that focus at times. Yeah,
you can document the journey just fine without doing the physique updates if that's the way you want to do it. Equally, you can document it loads with the physique. You know, it's really down to personal preference. I mean, I just used it as a strategy to be able to get feedback off the people that I really cared about. And I mean, all of you like guys saw my physique before it stepped on stage, and I took all of your feedback on board. So it wasn't like I was just like hiding away and not sending anyone anything and just like working on my own brain. I was still posing in front of people and getting feedback. It was just from the right people, you know, and I think that was the biggest difference. So my head wasn't clouded full of, you know, hype and it was just like, keep training fucking hard. So that's all the comments that I got was like, keep going, keep training hard. So all the Instagram stuff was actually very beneficial. Yeah. You know, it just drove me forward. So yeah, it's totally up to you though, the way you do it.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Biggest animal you could take, no weapons. I don't know, a fox.
Probably an owl.
An owl.
Lost the owl Vickers.
Lost the owl Vickers. Yeah.
I don't know, because people like, even if you think about it, a dog, like a decently sized dog, you may struggle to. Like, you'd have to catch it right, or if it catches you right, you're in trouble.
Yeah, and you'll find that out, Jack.
Oh, I'll tell you what, Diesel best fucking stay away from you, George.
He's honestly, when he stands up, he's roughly about my height. So he's tall, and he's about, I'd say he's about 47 kilos. So, you know, if he runs into your leg, you know, sometimes I've gone, whoa, I nearly broke my leg, you know. So
that was heavier than me on stage, that.
Yeah, he's a big
old human, that.
I don't know what I could take on really, because I saw, like, even yesterday I saw those two cows going at it, and I'm thinking I would not like to be involved in that. Like,
cows are scary.
They are.
I've been chased on multiple occasions. It's not ideal.
I had one question that I wanted to ask everyone, and I think that I don't know who this came from, but obviously everyone's becoming an online coach nowadays. Do you think it's necessary to have a qualification to be an online coach? Because everyone, like, you realistically, you don't. And I get this question all the time. do you need to any qualification? You don't need to PT qualify. You can just literally start now if you really wanted to. I see that as I don't like that. I think getting some gym experience or in-person experience is really, really key. But I see it a lot more nowadays with younger people like 17, 18, 19 offering online coaching, but they've not done 1 hour of any sort of PT session or whatnot. So I want to get people's thoughts on that.
I get frustrated by it a lot. However, I will preface it with saying, if someone's passionate enough and they invest enough time into it, get enough experience, they can become incredible coaches without any qualification. Because ultimately, in this game, it is a lot to do with experience, so much to do with experience. And you, with the amount of content that you can access and information you can access online, or if you want to further develop your knowledge through paying for courses, etc., you don't need to go to uni or anything like that. Like, I knew all the physiology I learned in uni, I knew before I went to uni because of like the reading I'd done online and stuff like that. So realistically, the fact that I got a first class degree, all the physiology side of it, I knew before I even did it, especially in terms of if we're looking at it from a bodybuilding perspective as well. So I don't really think you need a qualification for it. However, the fact that someone's got a bit of an education behind them sort of is a prerequisite for the fact that they are relative, or they have a bit of brain power about them, which then would, like, some of these people that are coaching are thick as shit, pardon my language, and quite a lot of them then, when there are issues with coaching, etc., they don't know how to deal with it because they haven't got some common sense behind them. So I know a few people that are just thick, and essentially they've messed around a lot of people in terms of like contest preps and stuff like that. So I think not necessarily the qualification, but more the fact that they've got a bit about them, because like I said, through experience and just your own reading, you can gain so much knowledge within coaching.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. When you said about going to uni, exact same thing. I did fitness management and personal training at uni. I knew absolutely everything. That's why I got a first. I graduated with a first, which for me, I was aiming for like a 2-1. I was just wanting to scrape through. But everything I learned, everything I knew it already. It wasn't hard at all. So you don't need to. I mean, I wouldn't be in the position I'm in now if I didn't go to university, because I wouldn't have started YouTube, wouldn't have done student budget videos, that sort of stuff. So I'm very grateful in that sense. But from an educational standpoint, I knew everything prior to going, just because I've invested at that time what was like 2-3 years into bodybuilding and learning. And I think I was on the JP side in 2016, 17 before that. So I put a lot of time and effort. So I wouldn't say, but I do believe even just being on a gym floor, even from my experience from PTing, is just being able to work with different people. I think that's quite a good skill to have, because not everyone, and we know this through coaching, not everyone does the same plan, responds to the same amount of food or whatever it may be. Everyone's very different. So I do think getting used to that is quite important, actually. So
I think, AJ, if you don't mind me highlighting yourself as an example here, like,
sure.
Did you didn't go to uni, did you? No. And like, without blowing smoke up the guy's ass, coaching, he's one of the best out there. And it's purely because he just has such a passion for it.
Yeah.
And just through experience and learning, he's got to where he needs to be, and well above that as well, So that's almost all the sort of examples you need, really. If you're passionate about it enough and you invest enough in it, it's just there are too many people that have no knowledge or background, and then are also not that passionate about it. And if anything, are just potentially just leeching off someone that is passionate about it and just regurgitating the same shit. Yeah. Then there's that as well. But then Caitlin and Keith, I don't know if you want to add your input to that.
I think it definitely depends. Like, if you're wanting to coach bodybuilders, you've got to have that eye. Like, have you been to bodybuilding shows and actually seen people in person, and like what you actually need to look like of your, because I think it's completely different to sort of like a lifestyle coaching. Any Tom, Dick or Harry could potentially do that, but I think specifically for bodybuilding and getting into that sort of, if you're coaching someone to contest lean, you need to know what the fuck is going on in their body, because if you don't, then when you come out on the other end, even like if you've tried to sort of help them as much as possible, they could very easily drag your name down as well if you've not been able to sort of help them out of that post contest phase. You know, thyroid's going to be absolutely bottomed out at that point, and if you can't, you know, grasp that simple concept, that is going to cause a lot of issues. Like I think it definitely just depends like on the severity of like what the goal is, but for like contest prep, if you don't know enough, you can really like hurt some people inside and out.
Yeah, I think probably one of the biggest things, different people, males, females as well. Like I think a lot of people also misunderstand. That's probably one of the biggest things that I especially learned was, obviously I get into PT first, and I PT'd for like nearly a couple of years before I even, like I never even started advertising anything to do with online coaching until just like the middle of last year. If somebody had came to me for help, I would have helped them. It was never a case of, right, I'll coach you, or I was advertising any online coaching or anything like that. But I think probably it's just working with people before you move towards the online side of things. I don't really believe in the fact of, or even the part of, you need to have competed yourself to coach people to compete, or coach people through a contest prep. I think, like Caitlin said, you just need to be knowledgeable in that the parts of knowing what's going to be happening with their body throughout a contest prep phase. And it's not just putting somebody into a deficit and just watching them get leaner kind of thing. But I think probably one of the biggest parts is just the communication side of things and being able to work with different people, because not everybody's going to treat you the same as a coach as well. Do you know what I mean? You are going to get the people that are going to fuck off for a week and just do the work that you've set them out, but you're also going to get the people that are going to be trying to kind of get on at you maybe every couple of days, struggling with this, struggling with that kind of thing. So I think that's probably one of the biggest things as well, because you'll be fine with people that you could give them a plan and they could go away and they'll check in the following week, but you might not know how to cope with people that will be on at you, asking questions, trying to gain knowledge for themselves, trying to learn their body. Do you know what I mean? There's lots of things like that.
I think we all pretty much agree on that, really, with everything we said. What's AJ? You still someone's asked thoughts on flat bench pressing. Obviously, I've seen you add it in recently. Is that still something that you are running?
Yeah, I got hurt. I got hurt, man. I again, it's just, for me, I think I added it in the wrong time, if I'm honest. I think for a movement like that, I just need to be a bit heavier before I added it in. Yeah, I was in still a pretty compromised position when I started doing it. I was like 10 pounds above stage weight, trying to learn a new movement, also trying to back squat. You know, it was a recipe for a bit of a disaster. And you know, I hadn't hold my hands up, and I didn't admit that was a bit of a reckless post show tradition for me. I always do something reckless to try and challenge myself further, and end up either hurting myself or losing muscle or doing something silly. So yeah, I hurt myself, so I won't be doing it for a little bit. I definitely get a much better push session as an overall sort of like stimulus goal by doing, you know, machines where I'm comfortable and I can create a lot of force because I'm just good at them. You know, I'm just good at that flat press because I've done it for the best part of like 8 or 9 months. But I maybe would give it a shot when I'm a bit heavier again. I do believe it has some merit. You only have to look at people that have got very strong at flat benching, and they do tend to be thick through that area. Yeah. But at the same time, those are also the people that, very much like me with pulls, I can do any bent over row variation. I can do any deadlift variation and feel it where I need to feel it. I can also do it safe. So, and the hack comment earlier as well, I can do those and they just feel safe. whereas other people just don't get away with that. You know, so I heard James say on either as a podcast or did one of the Jordan videos that he was on about flat bench pressing. And it just for him, I reckon he could just do, you know, flat bench pressing with his eyes closed with heavy weight, 3-repper, 4-repper. I can't do that. I have to be so focused and so perfect with my reps to avoid hurting something.
Yeah.
And I just right now, that's not an efficient way for me to train. So yeah, it is what it is. I love it though. It's a cool movement.
Yeah, it's fun. I must admit I do like bench press, but I noticed I used to get injured, especially the rotator cuffs. It's just very fragile around, like, just when I'm pressing, I'm like, right, that's a rotator cuff. But Keith, on the other hand, you absolutely love it, mate.
Yeah, and you've got a massive chest, so you can't complain.
So you get on quite well with the bench press, don't you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm obviously I'm a pretty big advocate for your main kind of barbell moves, but I feel as if a big part of that is me only growing up with them. Like whenever I got the best part of, well, what'll it be like, until I got a bit of variety into training, it was maybe like 4 or 5 years into training. I was training with like the exact same kit, and the kit was never upgraded. There was never anything implemented into the gym. Whenever I would go away on the weekend, that would be like, or a random weekend, I would go away and I would go and train in a different gym. I would obviously use some different kit, but for the best part of that amount of time, I was only brought up with things like a squat rack. There was a bench rack, and you know what I mean, the rest was just plates and barbells kind of thing. So I feel as if that's got a massive part in me being like big on them sort of moves. It's not to say that if I never had that, I wouldn't do them. I'm a big fan of them and I do enjoy doing them. And I do feel that they've got a massive part in my physique, but I think that's mainly one of the biggest parts about it, is just because that's what I was brought up with, and there was never really any change. There was never really any machines that I could go to instead of doing that. Do you know what I mean? Like I would literally move from a barbell bench and go and do dumbbell bench. Do you know what I mean? It was like I wasn't able to go and do like machines or anything like that I could implement. It was more so just moving towards another pretty exact same movement pattern, except not using a barbell, and I would use another free weighted thing. So I think that's probably one of the biggest parts for me. But I am still a massive fan, and even training out Ultraflex, like when I done chest the other day, my first exercise was bench, and then I went and done incline Smith, and then obviously I'd done like the chest press machines and stuff like that. So I mean, I'll still always opt for these sort of moves. I'll just have a lot of variety in training now, which is what I think I missed the most out.
Caitlin, from a female perspective, flat barbell bench press for you?
So when I was like hefty, like we're talking like, you know, I looked morbidly obese, I was benching like 80 kilos with ease, which I don't know, it just felt absolutely fine. I think it's definitely got a time and a place, like AJ said. Post contest, probably not. But when you are like, you know, when you just feel big in clothes, like you're probably going to be all right. And body weight moves body weight, I think. Like, and as well, having a good top line can definitely help. But the majority of my programming is for that, like, sort of upper top line. Is obviously I ain't got my tits out on stage ever. So
what was your range of motion like with that off-season chest development, Caitlin?
Fuck's sake. Well, seeing as
I wasn't expecting you to just come out with that. Sorry.
I was not expecting you to come out with that. Well, seeing as my arms are like not very long, yeah, range of motion wasn't big.
Maybe that's why
it was almost like I had like slingshots on, you know.
The Mark Bell slingshot there.
Jack, how about yourself? I don't think I've ever seen you flat bench, unless it's like a really old video you might have posted.
Nah, I think what I used to be a member on this site when I was younger. It was this Australian personal trainer. He was in great shape. This was years and years ago. His name was like Ruben Barja or something. And he was coming up with it. He was good. He was in great shape, and a lot of what he put out was good. But he came out with this real bro science comment that if you do flat bench, you're going to get kind of like almost like bitch tits, and you need to like program a lot more incline movements. So I basically like never touched any flat. Like all of my work was always incline. So I think, and I kind of just like stayed with me then, and I always did like don't get me wrong, I did flat bench during my like rugby days just because it's what all the rugby lot did. Like I used to have a flat bench in my garage, and Wednesday would be bench day. And I'd be down there with my old man, and he'd be standing over the top of me, shouting at me, like screaming at me to get more reps. I remember there was a lad who got in the Ospreys squad, Ospreys being like the regional team around me. He got in ahead of me, and he was a big lad at the time. And my dad used to stand over the top of me and scream his name at me as I was approaching failure. I won't say his name because there might be a few people on you that know him and stuff, but because he's a decent player now. And he'd like shout his name at me at the top. So you can probably guess where I get my sort of psychotic training antics from. But I've never, and I think also like I became aware from quite a young age that people were picking up a lot of injuries from it. So I kind of just never did it. I think and for me, like I could incline barbell quite well, and I never seemed to, I did that for a long time and never picked up any niggles with that. It's just the second you go to flat, I think you are opening yourself up to a bit more sort of issues.
Can you define what bitch tits are for me, please? Just for the people that don't know what that is.
When the fullness of the pec is more towards the decline, the lower fibers, and it appears like you have man boobs as opposed to the top. So
young Thorburn thought flat bench gave you gyno.
Yeah. So that's
Wow.
why my chest is nicely shaped now, see?
Oh, bitch tits, great. Who's everyone's favourite physique in the UK right now? Not necessarily the best, but
In the UK?
in the UK.
Pro? Which one pros?
Either.
I think we mentioned this last week, didn't we? I think Mark Hector will be something to be seen shortly. I think he's definitely got to be up there.
Yeah.
I'm also quite excited following the updates of Joe Brightman recently about the progress he's been made. Like he seems to have found his stride massively. So I'm quite excited for him. And I know I don't really want to be bigging up the BBC too much, but I am a fan of Josh as well, Bridgman. I always have been, but now that he seems to be focusing a bit more maybe on classic potentially, I think that not that he ever had reins on, but now that he's realised what he needs to go, what he's going up against. I know he's staying in physique at the moment, but I think ultimately he will get to classic down the line, and that is very exciting. So those three potentially. I know this is me talking a lot now, but that Bradley Dennis lad, I think he's only 23, and he is absolutely huge. And there's a few more in the in the pipeline that we're not even mentioning. I'm probably forgetting off the top of my head. Like I know Dean White put an update up today, and a few years back, Dean was in the same position as Bradley, and everyone was talking about him as the next best thing. And then I think he had a few issues outside of bodybuilding. He's been a bit quiet recently, but he put an update in today, and he's definitely someone that potentially is like pro card worthy moving forward. So
he's with Ben Chow, isn't he?
Yes.
Yeah.
Like in terms of shape,
he's superb. He's so good.
Incredible.
I just remember he's most muscular at I think
PCA.
it was
PCA.
Yeah, unreal.
His front double, look at that. That's so good. So good. Yeah, fucking hell.
It's a lot of muscle.
One person who I'm excited to see compete this year as well actually is Josh Duggle. I think
I was gonna mention him as well.
Because he stays quiet all the time, but
not quiet with his lifts though.
No.
Well,
Very
no.
fucking strong.
Very good. Very good.
Yeah, absolute freak.
Yeah. He'll be good.
Me, I don't know. I really like James.
Are you saying yourself?
Huh?
You saying yourself? You said
Of
me.
course not. No. Cool. Why would I say myself? I really like James Hollishead. I don't know why, but I just like that granite sort of hard. Like even if he's off season, he looks beefy. It's just like British beef. Like I don't know why. I just like that. I like that he's just a big guy, and even in person, I see him down at King's when I was on prep. Still back then, he's just like a big guy, and I think that looks fucking quality. I just think he looks class. So yeah, that's
He's also got a bit of a chip on his shoulder at the moment, I think, and he's a bit pissed off with how like the Olympia went, and there are people sort of counting him out.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
he
think-
is definitely.
I think that's a very dangerous sort of person when you've got that
Mm.
potential, but then also that drive from everyone sort of talking you down and stuff. So that, yeah, I think he's very dangerous this year.
yeah. Keith.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have to go for like somebody like James or even Nathan. I'm quite a big fan of Nathan. Not just from like a bodybuilding standpoint. I just like his personality. He just doesn't give a fuck. And I'm quite a fan of that. But even physique wise as well, he's just a monster. And that's why I love this sport. So
He was
The
the first
interesting-
person I
Go on.
saw at Body Power compete against Rowley. I think that was back in 2016. And I was like, who the fuck was that guy? He really impressed me. Do you think he'll compete in the Arnolds? Because
That's what I was going to say. It'd be interesting to see if he
Not a
gets over.
chance.
No way.
I'd love it, but
Because
no.
I sometimes see his YouTube videos. And stuff.
Not by his recent videos.
No, this guy's doing challenges and doing wheelchair.
He's had an operation as well on that thigh that he had.
I saw that. That was quite bad when I saw that. He looked fucking
Yeah,
nuts.
My one of my favorites, I'll just list an amateur that I really like is Greg Taylor. I really like him.
Yeah.
Scottish Titan on Instagram. Like we had a few chats during prep. And he's just such a nice dude, and his way of training as well is just ruthless. Like some of his pulls during prep, like he was doing 300 kilo stiff legs for reps a couple of weeks out from most of his shows, and that. But it directly transfers into his look, which is, I just love that about bodybuilding. Like when you do lifts like that, it just immediately shows in all of his shots from the back, and he's just like had massive glutes, ridiculously dense back, and so yeah, I like that kind of like hard work ethic look to physique personally.
How much does he weigh on stage? Because he's not that
I don't know,
tall, is
super
he?
Heavyweight.
Jack, didn't we
Oh, is
watch
he?
the Arnold?
Yeah.
Yeah, we
The
watched
guy with the
it.
biggest ass in the UK. Well, probably just the person with the biggest ass in the UK.
Yeah,
Like when he turned to walk off stage, it looked like he had a fat ass, like proper fat ass, and then
Yeah, always does
tenses
look
it
like
and
that.
it's striated top to toe.
Yeah.
Insane.
yeah, pretty insane. I was like, that's the first thing I was like, his ass. Like, he's got a great ass on him sitting there in the crowd.
The problem is it's so big, it's almost distracting.
Too big.
Like it's almost distracting. I know he's working, like his back shot has come up a lot now. So his back development has come up a lot, but it's almost distracting because it is huge.
Yeah, I agree on that. Right. We'll go for one more. So I think going back an hour and 15. How would you structure an upper body day? I think I did. Did I answer that on my Instagram? Must have done.
Yeah, I think you did, mate.
Yeah, I did. Anyone else would do it differently to me or similar? I can't remember what I said now.
Well, it would require you to sort of assess where you need the most development.
Yes.
So if you're lacking in say chest and shoulders, you would probably position those movements higher up the order. Whereas if you need more back, then you probably position those. So like you did, George, but it would just alternate whether you need more sort of top line development or back.
Yeah. And I would just, if I had two different rotations, I'd just do back first on one and then push on the other. If they didn't have any weaknesses, they just needed to build just more muscle. So yeah, I think, we don't need to answer that. I've answered that on Instagram. Go on my Instagram if you haven't already. Anyway, I appreciate everyone always coming on and chatting away. Sometimes we ramble about shit. Sometimes we just like fruit and come out with some random stuff that I've never said before ever. So as always, Fruit Loop, yeah, that's going to be
you learn something new every day, George, and you've learned that it's Fruit of the Loom.
Yeah. Well,
I'll take home to be fair.
I've got nothing to comment down, unfortunately. So just if you have comment,
You've got nothing.
I've got nothing because I've already gone through the same sort of stuff. It's either going to be
Comment Fruit the Loop.
Candle.
It's got to be Fruit the Loop.
Fruit the Loop, yeah.
Okay.
Oh,
Fruit the Loop.
Okay.
Thumbnail Fruit the Loop.
All the comments will be that anyway. They won't have to make it to the end. Everyone's be going that anyway.
Yeah, if you've got to that part, comment Fruit the Loop. Appreciate it. Lots of love. Share it in your stories. Appreciate everyone that does. I think we've hit. I had a notification or email come through. I think we hit like the total for the amount of downloads we've had across the 6 now. I think it said 10,000. So it gave me congratulations, 10,000 downloads, which is pretty mad for a podcast, to be fair, considering it's 6 episodes in. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I'm gonna stop waffling, and we'll see you in a bit.